To get started on the Lesson 4 book project, you should have downloaded the Lesson 4 resources file from the class page. Once it's downloaded, let's jump into Adobe Illustrator, go up to File and Open. Let's locate that Lesson 4 folder and select the Start Illustrator file and click Open. Now, if you're greeted with a missing fonts warning dialog box, and I wasn't this time, you can enable it by turning on to Activate the Fonts. Activating the font will automatically download it from the Adobe website, install it on your computer, and then you'll be ready to go. Now, before we do anything else, let's go back up to File and do a Save As. Make sure the Lesson 4 folder is selected, and let's rename this the Diner Poster and put your name on it. We'll keep it as an Illustrator file and click Save. We'll also say OK to the Illustrator options. Also, if you're not already working in the Essentials workspace, make sure under Workspace you've got the Essentials selected. The first thing we want to do is to center up this first artboard. And if you don't see it already, you can go down to the very bottom of your screen and let's select the Poster 1 parts. From here, we can use our black arrow tool. Let's select this bounding box that's around the open 24 hours. And let's zoom in by hitting the Command or Control and the plus sign until it brings it up nice and big on our screen. Now with it selected, let's find our scissors tool. The scissors tool is nested underneath your little eraser, so you may have to click and hold and choose the scissors tool. With our outline still selected, let's carefully click right in the middle where it says intersect along the path. With one click, it's like using the scissors to cut a rubber band. From here, we can use our direct selection tool and then carefully click just once on the anchor point and then drag it upward and then slightly over to have it offset a bit. Now, in order to join those paths back together, we have a couple of options. The first thing we need to do is to make sure the entire path is selected. So with our black arrow, make sure it's selected here. If you don't have your contextual taskbar opened up, you can always go up to Object, down to Path, and tell it to join. If you do have your contextual path bar open, we'll turn it on here. There's an option to tell it to join path right there. So either way, with one click, you can see how it joins that together. Now with this done, let's select both of those by holding down the Shift key and get both the 24 hours and the outline, and let's group them together. Again, if you don't have this open, you can also go up to Object and tell it to group, or Command G is the keyboard shortcut. Now let's hold down the space bar. This will give us our little hand, and we can click and drag till we can bring up the little dog's face. Let's select his nose area, and we need to be able to find the knife tool. Usually it's nested with these tools, but we don't see it here. So let's go up to Window, and let's choose Advanced under our toolbars. This should give us some more tools to choose from. Now when we click on our scissors, there's the knife tool. The knife tool, as the name would imply, allows you to take an object that's selected and be able to click and drag a path through it. Now if you do this and you don't like what you've drawn or created, you can always go up to Edit and Undo, and then you can try it again. Let's see if we can drag it through to create a nice little nose shape. Once it's finished, we can deselect it by going up to Select and Deselect. Then we can choose our selection tool, our black arrow, and click just on the tip. With it selected, let's change its fill color to be a solid black. And then you can click away to deselect it. Now typically when you're cutting with the knife tool, this is a freehand drawing tool. This means that if you don't move your cursor precisely, it's going to pick up on every little bump and movement along that line. If you did want to draw a straight line, let's start off by selecting with our black arrow the right side that's remaining on here. Then once again, let's choose our knife tool. This time, let's turn on our caps lock. This will give us a little precise cursor that we know exactly where we're drawing. If you're on a Mac, you can hold down the Option key, or if you're on the Windows, hold down the Alt key. This time, as we click and drag, this will create a line. Let's have the line go all the way through to the edge right here. Now when I let go, that created the straight line cut that we need. From here, we can deselect it by choosing our selection tool and click away. Then we can click on this area and let's make it a lighter brown. Now it looks like a proper dachshund. We can also click on the caps lock key to turn it back to normal selection mode. Going down to the next one, let's select it. I'm going to turn off my contextual tax bar just to get it out of the way. The other way we can cut or erase away from an area is to use the eraser tool. Now the eraser tool works a lot like a brush. If you double click on the eraser tool, this will bring up the options. And from here, we can customize the look and feel and function of this particular brush. In our case, we simply want to make it a larger brush, so let's bump it up to 60 points. And we'll say OK. Much better. With our object selected, let's click and drag and nibble away at the side of it. Now, if you make a mistake, that's OK. We can always go up to Edit and Undo and try again. Again, take it slow. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to match the book, but we're just trying to nibble away and round it off to make it kind of like a little ear. With that done, if we wanted to further refine the edges, we can use our selection tool and click on it. And we can make sure our corner widgets are turned on. So I've got hide corner widgets, so that's okay. If we don't see our corner widgets, we can also choose our direct selection tool. Now they're popping up. And we can click on it and drag it inward. If we wanted just this area to be selected, we can click over it and drag it till it's nice and rounded as well. With that done, let's choose our black arrow selection tool, click on it and drag it up onto our dog, and if necessary, we can kind of rotate it into place till it fits the shape of his head. Finally, we can select everything by clicking and dragging a marquee over it. Let's go up to Object and group it together. From here, let's go back down to the very bottom of our document. And let's choose the 3 poster. Since we're working with our eraser tool, sometimes we need to erase in a straight line. Let's zoom into the very bottom corner so we can see these 2 circles. With the black arrow selection tool, let's select just this large circle. Let's choose our eraser tool and then double click on it to open up the options. Let's make this a bigger eraser at 300 points and say OK. Now let's line up the bottom edge of this so that we can swipe all the way across to cut it off. Hold the Shift key first and then click and drag to the right to draw a perfectly straight line. Letting go of your mouse first and then the Shift key should give you that nice clean cut. Notice that when we did this, it only erased the area that we had selected, that larger green circle. Let's do the same for the smaller one. Use your selection tool and select the green circle. Grab your eraser tool. Press the Shift key first, then click and drag to get a straight line as you erase it away. Let's go up to Select and deselect the area and do Command 0 to back out. Going back down to the bottom of our screen, this time let's choose the 2 signage. Let's make a little compound path from these 2 circles on the bottom. Choose your black arrow selection tool, click on the red, and then hold down Shift and click on the green one. Clicking on the green one more time makes this the key object. You can see how it's highlighted a little bit more. Now we can go over to our Properties panel and open up the Align. Make sure Align the key object is selected. Then we can align it vertically and horizontally in the center. Now, in order to cut out the center portion of this, let's go up to Object, down to the very bottom where it says Compound Path and choose Make. Making a compound path will cut away whatever is in the center of an object away from the outer edge. Next, let's hold down the Shift key and click on the green of the Dachshund Diner. Then one more time, click up here to make it the key object. Then let's go over to Align, vertically and horizontally to make it around that area. Then you can click away to deselect it. Let's do some other things that we can do with our outlines. Going back to the first poster, so poster parts 1, Let's select these green plants and do Command and the plus sign to zoom in so we can see them nicely. Now, each one of these is created by making a green outline or a green stroke. We want to be able to erase away the edges of this and round it off as if it was a leaf. In order to do this, let's select one of the outlines. I'm going to choose this one. Let's go up to Object, down to Path, and tell it to outline the stroke. This turns the solid outline into a solid filled object. Notice now that it's filled in and there's no outline at all. Now with it still selected, we can use our eraser tool, double click on the eraser tool, set the size of it to be 60 points and say OK. Now with it selected, we can carefully click on the bottom edge and then go outward and then back inward to nibble away at it. Again, if yours is off by a little bit, that's okay. And now it looks more like an actual leaf of grass. Let's repeat this process for the others. Holding down the Command key temporarily turns it into a selection tool that lets me select another path. Letting go of the Command key turns it back into the eraser tool. Object, Path, Outline Stroke. And then I can click and drag and erase away that path, and then click and drag and erase away that path. Again, Command, select the next path, Object, Path, Outline Stroke, Eraser tool, click and drag to erase it, and then click and drag to erase the other side. Finally, let's get this last one. Command, and select it, Object, Path, Create or Outline Stroke, nibble away at the edges, nibble away at the edges here. Now that they're done, let's choose our selection tool, click and drag over all of these, and let's group them together. With that done, let's zoom back out, Command and the minus sign, and go down to here. We want to turn these into a cloud-like structure. Since we've already got 3 circles drawn, with our selection tool, we're going to click and drag over all of those to have all 3 selected. If we want to join all 3 of these together, there's a tool known as the Shape Builder tool. Here it is here. With Shape Builder, you can click and drag over multiple shapes, and whatever it intersects, it automatically joins them together. If you wanted to quickly join everything, hold down the Shift key, and then when you click and drag, it'll give you a marquee that'll also join those together. Now, in addition to joining things, it can also subtract away from selected shapes. Let's choose our black arrow selection tool, and let's move our little rectangle up until it cuts off the bottom portion of this. We want to use this as a guide for cutting and keeping just this top portion. One more time, click and drag to select both of the shapes. Grab your Shape Builder tool. This time, hold down the Option or the Alt key as you click and drag to erase away those lines. With the cloud still selected, let's pick up our eyedropper tool, scroll over just a bit, and pick up the color that it needs to be from our final example. This will give it the gray outline with a white fill. Another way we can combine shapes is by using our Pathfinder. Let's zoom down to here. Once again, choose your selection tool, and we need to open the Pathfinder panel. Go up to Window, down to Pathfinder to have it open to see all the different options. The first thing we're going to select are the 2 circles at the very top. With both of those selected, let's choose the Unite button at the very first one, and notice that it combines both of those together, keeping it one solid color. If we wanted to subtract away the rectangle in the background, hold down Shift and select both of the objects. And then finally, let's choose minus the background, which is this one right here. There we go. And that'll subtract away that one. Sometimes it helps to hover over each one to see what the name of it is. Notice there's a minus front In this case, this is minus back. It's okay, we're learning together. Another thing you can do with the Pathfinder tool is select all of your objects, in this case, this second little cloud, and do notice that the Pathfinder is also available in your Properties panel. If you hold down the Option key whenever you click on one of these options, it will combine them, but it will also keep the original shape that's combined together. This way, if you double-click on it, you can isolate that individual shape and be able to move it and transform it. So in our case, if we wanted to make it a little bit smaller and say place it over here, notice it keeps the original shape once it's deselected. We can hit the Escape key to go out of isolation mode, and we can select it one more time. If we want to commit to this transformation, you can click on Expand, and then it's committed to that overall final shape without being able to edit it. One more time, I'm going to zoom out, grab our eyedropper tool, and let's click on our example to colorize it the way it's supposed to be. Another fun tool to use is the Reshape tool. If you've ever drawn a single line and want to be able to add some curve or change the shape to it, let's start off by selecting that line. Then locate the Reshape tool, which is hiding underneath your Scale tool. With this tool selected, and also with your line selected, we can click on the middle and we can bend and reshape that particular line. Additionally, we can click elsewhere and add another curve to it to make it more of a nice little S-curve. Now, since we're turning this into a tail, we don't want this to have a single width going the entire length of it. We want it to start off thin and get thicker and then get back to thinner. In order to change the width of your line, choose the Width tool. With this tool, you can click anywhere in the middle of your line and drag out, and you can see how it adds a little bit of thickness to the line that you've got. Now, if you want to dial in a specific thickness, you can double-click anywhere on here, and this will open up the options for it, and you can type in a total width. Let's make this end be 0 pixels and say OK, so it tapers down to nothing. Let's let this end, double-click on it, be 12 pixels and say OK to that. So now it has a nice little taper and smooth flow. One more time, let's go down to the very bottom, and let's choose the Signage poster. We'll zoom in so we can see our little dachshund. We want to have this line intertwined with our dachshund's body. In other words, having it go in and out as if it's wrapping around him. Now, in order to do this magic trick, let's use our selection tool, click once on the line, and then hold down Shift and also select the body. With both of those selected, let's go up to Object, down to Intertwine, and choose Make. Intertwine, Make. This is going to give you a little selection tool that's going to let you outline or select the area that we want to intertwine by simply clicking and dragging around those two areas. And now it looks like it goes in front of and behind it. With all of these done, let's go up to View and Fit All to Window, and let's assemble everything. If necessary, let's close out some of the unnecessary panels so that we can see all of the stuff properly. First, let's select the head of our dachshund and drag it over to here. If it helps, you can zoom in and hold down the Shift key as you click and drag and resize it to fit inside of here. That looks pretty good. Again, we'll zoom back out. Now let's bring on the tail. Choose the tail that you created. Click on it and drag it up to this area. And then zoom in. Now when we go to scale the tail, we also want to make sure that the width of our stroke is scaling as well too. In order to do this, go over to your Properties panel and open up the options for the transform and make sure Scale, Stroke, and Effects is checked on. With that done, we can be able to select the edge of our bounding box and scale it down and rotate it into place. And if necessary, use your arrow keys to nudge it right where it needs to be. That looks good. Zooming back out, let's select the entire Dachshund Diner and go up to Object and group that together. We can keep zooming out, and we can see that this needs to be placed at the top of our sign, diner sign up here. That looks good. We can put the open 24 hours. Make sure to choose your open 24 hours. Let's zoom in and hold down Shift as you scale it down and place it right where it needs to go. Again, if yours is off by a little bit, that's okay. Going back over, let's choose our cloud and drag it into place. This first cloud can be set up here. And again, scale down till it fits. Let's get our second cloud and place it up here. And again, scale it to cover everything up. It's okay if yours is a different size. Mine's bigger, so I can cover up. And then finally, let's grab our little grass and put our grass where it needs to be. This one can go right here. Nudging it into place, and then get our tall grass and put it over yonder. Make that a little bit bigger to fit. With this done, we can now center up our document. And one last time, let's go to File and save our working diner poster. This diner poster is what you're going to upload to the class page once you're finished.